U.S. Army orders new barge in $24 million deal. A Louisiana shipyard has won its latest chunk of a quiet, decades-long business relationship that keeps America's rivers, locks, and harbors running, one unglamorous barge at a time. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers awarded Conrad Shipyard LLC a $24 million contract to finalize the engineering, construct, test, and deliver a new deck barge, a flat, unpowered steel vessel with no engine of its own that gets towed into position to carry heavy equipment, construction materials, and machinery for waterway maintenance work. The contract's total value climbs to $24.4 million once incidental costs are included, and the Corps selected Conrad after soliciting bids over the internet and receiving 4 competing offers, a genuine competition rather than the sole-source deals that sometimes draw scrutiny in defense contracting. Deck barges like this one form the unglamorous backbone of how the Army Corps of Engineers actually does its job maintaining the nation's inland waterway system, a network of rivers, canals, locks, and dams that moves roughly 500 million tons of cargo annually according to the Corps' own figures, everything from grain and coal to steel and petroleum products that would otherwise clog highways and rail lines. Because a deck barge has no propulsion system of its own, a tugboat or towboat pushes or pulls it wherever the Corps needs to position a crane, deliver construction materials, or support repair work on aging infrastructure, making these vessels functionally similar to a flatbed truck that can only move when something else hauls it, except built to carry far heavier loads across open water rather than pavement. Funding for this particular barge comes from what the contract notice describes as fiscal 2026 revolving funds, a budget mechanism distinct from the annual congressional appropriations that fund most military spending. The Army Corps operates a civil works revolving fund that finances the agency's plant and equipment, including its fleet of barges, dredges, and support vessels, then recovers those costs over time by charging the specific construction and maintenance projects that actually use the equipment, functioning more like an internal business account than a traditional government spending line. That structure lets the Corps replace aging vessels in its fleet without waiting for a dedicated congressional appropriation every time a barge needs replacing, treating fleet maintenance as an ongoing operational cost rather than a one-time budget request. Conrad Shipyard, based in Morgan City, Louisiana, has built vessels for the Army Corps of Engineers for more than 2 decades, and this new deck barge award fits into a broader pattern of Corps districts across the country turning to the same Gulf Coast shipbuilder for similar work. The company has accumulated more than $300 million in prime federal contract awards across multiple maritime construction and repair projects, a portfolio that extends beyond the Army Corps to include yard, repair, berthing, and messing barges for the Navy, floating accommodation units that give sailors a place to live and work while their own ships sit in port for repair or maintenance. The company won a $45.83 million contract in September 2025 to build a crane barge for the Corps Detroit District supporting maintenance at the Sioux Locks, the critical shipping channel connecting Lake Superior to the lower Great Lakes, and separately delivered an $8.42 million steel-hulled deck barge for the Memphis District earlier in 2025 to serve as a landing barge at the Ensley Engineer Yard. Conrad also built a spud barge for the same Philadelphia district overseeing this new contract, winning that earlier award as the sole bidder in a deal worth roughly $9.1 million with an estimated completion date in April 2025, showing a working relationship between the shipyard and this specific Corps district that predates the barge announced this week. The estimated completion date for this newest barge, May 11, 2028, reflects a nearly 2-year construction timeline that is typical for custom steel vessel work rather than any unusual delay, since deck barges built to Corps specifications require detailed engineering finalization before construction even begins, followed by fabrication, outfitting, and testing before delivery. The Corps Philadelphia District serves as the contracting activity managing this award, even though Conrad will build the vessel entirely at its Morgan City yard, a common arrangement in federal shipbuilding contracts, where the district requiring the equipment handles the paperwork and oversight while the actual construction happens wherever a qualified shipyard has the capacity and expertise to do the work.